This is Nightline and I'm Mohammed Ahmad Hamdan. News making the headlines. Government leaders found to have land or logging permits will be terminated. And battle for 245 state seats officially begins. Good morning. The unity government does not allow any cabinet ministers or government leaders to benefit from government land or logging activities. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim stressed that those who are found violating the restriction will be stripped of their posts.
Apa bezanya dengan yang lalu? Beza terbesar ialah bahawa kerajaan ini tidak mengizinkan mana-mana menteri atau pemimpin kerajaan ambil 1 inci tanah kerajaan atau 1 ekar balak. Dilarang sama sekali, dan kalau berlaku itu mereka akan tersingkir dari jawatan mereka.
Datuk Seri Anwar said that the situation is different to those who often slandered the government and played up religious sentiments but dared not ban their leaders from profiting from logging activities, contracts and shares. He added that the unity government never betrayed the people by reducing allocations as alleged by certain parties. The Prime Minister said with the improving economic situation, there is greater hope for the country to develop, and the government has also increased allocations for infrastructure, including in opposition-run states. In the meantime, Datuk Seri Anwar said the flow of large foreign investments such as Tesla Incorporated, a technology and electric vehicle EV company, into the country proves that Malaysia, under the administration of the unity government, is stable and strong. The Prime Minister, who was invited to officiate Tesla's electric vehicle headquarters in Cyberjaya, said foreign investors choose Malaysia as an investment location not because of its name, but because of the stability of the government.
Tapi bila kita perintah dan kerajaan stabil, apa yang berlaku? Elon Musk minta nak bercakap dengan Perdana Menteri Malaysia. Bukan kerana saya, tapi kerana kerajaan ini stabil. Kerana keputusan dan kebijaksanaan Pakatan Harapan dan Barisan Nasional, terutamanya UMNO, yang memilih untuk bekerjasama perkuatkan kerajaan perpaduan.
Datuk Seri Anwar added that besides Tesla, world-famous automotive company Geely also said it will build the largest vehicle development city in the Southeast Asian region in Tanjung Malim. He said such developments meant that the nation can increase employment opportunities for the youth. The Premier was speaking at the Sentuhan Kasih Desa Terengganu program at Bandar Al-Muktafi Billah Shah in Dungun, Terengganu. At the same function, Datuk Seri Anwar also announced that the Program Perumahan Rakyat Termiskin PPRT received 460.2 million ringgit for 15,272 units of houses this year. He said the allocation includes the construction of 3,030 new houses involving a fund of 244.4 million ringgit and to repair 12,242 houses with an allocation of 215.8 million ringgit. Also present at the function was Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. Now, an enforcement officer previously stationed at the Bangladesh High Commission was among 2 individuals arrested on suspicion of accepting bribes, totaling over 100 million ringgit since 2021. The duo have been remanded for 4 days to assist in the probe. Sources said enforcement officials accepted bribes to approve visa applications by Bangladeshi nationals entering Malaysia, supposedly for tourism purposes. The officer was believed to have conspired with employment agencies in Bangladesh and Malaysia by deliberately abusing the foreign visa system VLN to bring in Bangladeshi citizens to work in Malaysia since 2021. The investigation also found that the officer is believed to have received a payment of around 1,363 ringgit to 2,272 ringgit for each approval of a VLN application, involving bribes totaling more than 100 million ringgit, even though the visa payment set by the government was only 105 ringgit. Following that, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, arrested another individual believed to be the managing director of a manpower supply company suspected of conspiring with the enforcement officer involved. Sources said the two men in their 30s were believed to have been arrested at about 6:30 p.m. Thursday when they were called up to the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya. Meanwhile, when contacted, MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azambaki confirmed the arrest of the two men involved. In another case, Malik Group of Companies founder and chairman Dato' Abdul Malik Dastigir confirmed that he had been summoned by the MACC to assist in the investigation into the cases of bribery and breach of trust. He also said that he had given full disclosure when questioned by the anti-graft body and will continue to cooperate with authorities. The matter was conveyed through a video on his social media on Friday. The businessman was released on bail by the MACC on Thursday night. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azambaki, when contacted by the media, confirmed that the commission detained Dato' Malik to assist in the investigation. On Monday, the businessman and several others were detained in an operation conducted by the Multi-Agency Task Force, MATF, which was led by the MACC in the Klang Valley. 38 million ringgit cash, gold weighing about 200 kilograms worth over 60 million ringgit, and 17 supercars, among others, were seized during the operation. The probe is being conducted under the MACC Act 2009, the Anti-Money Laundering Act, Anti-Terrorist Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act 2001, as well as the Income Tax Act 1967 and the Customs Act 1967. Moving on, police have decided to deploy drone units in Lahad Datu to enhance security surveillance in the Eastern Sabah Security Zone, S-Zone. Federal Police Internal Security and Public Order Director Datuk Seri Hazani Ghazali said the drones would be placed on marine police vessels.
Saya telah memutuskan untuk menempatkan tim drone di Lahad Datu, di mana pasukan polis marin akan taking care lah, dan kita nak letaklah kapal yang ada di pasukan polis marin. So dia berlayar, dia bawa drone kalau hal emergency berlaku dan drone diterbangkan.
Datuk Seri Hazani said this to the media after attending the ASCOM Media Awards Night 2023 in Kota Kinabalu on Thursday. He said the drone unit can be established as they have skilled officers who have received recognition at the international level. As an initial stage, he said police will assign this responsibility to the Marine Police based in Lahad Datu to assist ASCOM in maintaining security control in the waters and coastal borders of Eastern Sabah.
This week on Money Matters, I'll be taking a look at SMEs. Which are the areas that need immediate attention? Expanding operations but having problems getting loans. Are businesses quickly adopting to digital technology? And how to promote high-quality development of these businesses? I'll be speaking to Dato' William Ng of Cementa this Saturday at 5 p.m. only on TV3 and live HD stream on Tuntun.
Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa bin Shah attended a Yasin recital, tahlil and doa selamat at the National Mosque in Kuala Lumpur on Friday in conjunction with the Warriors' Day celebration. The King was welcomed by Defence Minister Datuk Seri Mohammed Hassan and Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs, Datuk Muhammad Naim Mokhtar. Al-Sultan Abdullah then performed the Friday prayers along with a congregation at the mosque led by Bukit Aman Integrity and Standard Compliance Department, Religion and Counselling Division Deputy Director DCP Datuk Ghazali Daud. The young di-Pertuan Agong also took time to mingle with the congregation, which comprised armed forces and police personnel as well as members of the public before leaving at 2:15 p.m. In the Friday sermon, Datuk Ghazali said the struggles and sacrifices of the national heroes while defending the country's sovereignty should always be remembered and appreciated by all parties. The congregation was also advised not to adopt an individualistic and self-centered approach because every layer of society in Malaysia needs to work together to build the country and protect its sovereignty. Warriors Day is celebrated on July 31st each year in honor of the struggles and sacrifices of the members of the National Security Forces to protect the country's sovereignty. The nomination process for the 6 state elections is set to take place in just a few hours, subsequently kicking off the 14-day official campaign period. Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Pulau Pinang, Kedah, Kelantan and Terengganu are creating history by holding state elections simultaneously and electing their new assemblymen outside the period of a general election. The battle for 245 state seats is expected to be tight as political parties and coalitions vie for the attention of voters. In Kedah, our reporter Kumaran Rajamani is in Sungai Petani with the latest updates. Take it away, Kumaran.
Yes, Mohammed. Today, 36 seats in the Kedah State Legislative Assembly will be contested in the state election. And at least 72 candidates representing Pakatan Harapan, Barisan Nasional and Perikatan Nasional have already been announced to vie for the contested seats. Although the official announcement of candidates will only take place around 9 a.m. later today, the election campaign has been heating up for almost 2 weeks now. Ever since the dissolution of the State Legislative Assembly was announced by the Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi, and after the nomination of candidates, the focus will shift to the campaign efforts of each contestant. And in fact, as I am speaking right now, the media is continuously updated with the schedule of the potential candidates. This adds the excitement of the state election, which has made Kedah one of the central points of attention. 6 seats are mainly in the spotlight in Kedah, including one that is being contested or will be contested probably by the former Menteri Besar of Kedah and the Federal Minister, Datuk Seri Mahathir Khalid in Pedu, and also Datuk Mahfuz Omar in Alor Mengkudu. Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi, who is the current Menteri Besar, is expected to be to defend his current seat in January. New faces catching attention are the former Vice Chancellor of University Utara Malaysia, Professor Dr. Hamid Hilman, and also the former national football player Badro Bakhtiar, who are running in the Jitra and also Gurun State Legislative Assembly seats. More than 1.585 million voters will have the opportunity to choose their leadership, the leadership that they want for Kedah in this state election. And that's all for now. And stay updated through our Buletin TV3 online platforms. Mohammed?
After this breather, at least 6 killed in bomb blast in Syria. The details when we return. Foreign front, Singapore on Friday hanged a 45-year-old citizen who was caught attempting to traffic 31 grams of heroin. This is the first time since the city-state has executed a woman in nearly 20 years, amid intense criticism over what activists have called the city-state's bloodthirsty streak of hangings. According to the Central Narcotics Bureau, Jamani had been accorded full due process under the law and had access to legal counsel throughout the process. Her execution proceeded despite protests from human rights groups, including Amnesty International, which argue Singapore's use of capital punishment for drug offences violates international law. However, the government, which tightly controls public protests and the media, has defended its use of the death penalty as a deterrent against drug trafficking and cited surveys showing most citizens support the law. Jamani's execution came 2 days after another national, Mohammed Aziz Hussein, 56, was hanged for trafficking around 50 grams of heroin. Over in Syria, at least 6 people have been killed and 46 others wounded after a bomb exploded near a shrine south of the capital Damascus on Thursday, a day ahead of Ashura. It was reported that the blast near the Sayyidah Zainab Mausoleum, the country's most visited Shia pilgrimage site, occurred when a motorcycle exploded near a taxi. The bombing is believed to have been arranged by a terrorist group. This is the second attack in the Sayyidah Zainab neighborhood, and no group has so far claimed responsibility for the attack. Last Tuesday, local authorities said that 2 civilians were wounded after a motorcycle laced with explosives was detonated. The Sayyidah Zainab Mausoleum was hit by several deadly bombings during the country's civil war that erupted in 2011. Moving on, Typhoon Doksuri made landfall in China's southeastern coast on Friday after the storm battered parts of the Philippines and killed at least 13 people. According to the National Meteorological Center, the typhoon slammed into the coastal county of Jinjiang in Fujian province at 9:55 a.m. local time, unleashing heavy rain and violent gusts of wind that whipped power lines, sparking fires, uprooted trees and forced factories and shopping malls to shut. Fears of potential danger to residents and the destruction of property have led the National Weather Observatory to renew the most severe red alert in its 4-tier system. Doksuri, which previously lashed through the Philippines, has left 13 people dead in the nation, with 20 others remain unaccounted for. Typhoon Doksuri has affected more than 500,000 people across the Southeast Asian country, with over 29,000 displaced people are still in 479 temporary shelters. No Tokyo Joy for... sport, the 2023 Japan Open. Top national men's doubles shuttlers Aaron Chia, So Woo-yik on Friday crashed out in the quarterfinals after going down 21-10, 15-21, 16-21 to home pair Takuro Hoki Yugo Kobayashi at the Yoyogi Gymnasium in Tokyo. Having suffered a second-round exit at the Korea Open just last week, the world number 4 Aaron Chia Woo-yik fought hard for 65 minutes, but to no avail. With the win, the world number 5 Japanese pair recorded their 5th straight win over the Malaysians since their first meeting in October 2021. The defeat of 2020 Tokyo Olympic bronze medalist Aaron Chia Woo-yik marked the end of Malaysia's challenge at the Japan Open. It has been a dismal season so far for Aaron Chia Woo-yik, as they have gone down quite a few times in the second round and quarterfinal stages, emerging as runners-up in just 2 tournaments, the India Open in January and Indonesia Open in June. And on to football, the 2023 Super League. 2 matches took place on Friday night. Terengganu FC had to be satisfied with a share of points after they were held to a 1-0 draw by Negeri Sembilan FC. Also held to a draw was PDRM FC. At the Sultan Mohammed Keempat Stadium, Muhammad Nabil Ahmad Lapti opened the scoring for the visitors 47 minutes into the game before Nigerian forward Uche Agba doubled the advantage for the police 7 minutes later to make it 2-0. PDRM FC's lead, however, was short-lived when Filipino winger OJ Porteria scored 2 minutes later for Kelantan United FC to make it 2-1 before the Green Deer levelled the score in the 70th minute thanks to Sharvin Selva Kumaranto. With the draw, Kelantan United FC climbed to the 12th spot with 8 points, while PDRM remained to the 8th spot with 24 points. And coming up after the break, 2 foreigners sentenced to death for murder of Grab driver. Continues. In Selangor, 2 foreigners were sent to the gallows by the Shah Alam High Court on Friday after they were found guilty of murdering a Grab driver 5 years ago. Judge Nurul Huda Nuraini Muhammad Noor passed a sentence on Myanmar national 38-year-old Swaileh and Indian national 28-year-old Gurpreet Singh after the defence failed to raise reasonable doubt at the end of the defence case. The duo had been charged with murdering 27-year-old Aiman Nosri at a parking lot located in Selayang Baru, Batu Caves on June 21, 2018 at around 10 p.m. They were charged under Section 302 of the Penal Code. In June 2018, Aiman was found in the back seat of his car with his head on the floor and legs upright, believed to have been strangled. According to the post-mortem report, the victim died due to breathing difficulties. In Perak, 2 directors and a manager of a company were each fined 130,260 ringgit by the Ipoh Sessions Court after they were found guilty of selling 4,342 pairs of fake designer shoes and slippers 4 years ago. Judge Norashima Khalid meted out the fine on company directors 61-year-old Yap Kian Seng, 40-year-old San Hai Xia, and the manager 51-year-old Yap Yin Kiat. Norashima also fined the company and Hamdan Sendrian Berhad 217,100 ringgit for the offence. According to the charges, the three accused and the company were charged with possession for supply goods to which a false trade description is applied. The offence was committed at a factory premises in the Menglembu industrial area, Perak, in May 2019, and the charges were brought under the Trade Descriptions Act 2011. Each individual was granted bail at 15,000 ringgit. Now we've come to the end of Nightline, but before we wrap up, let's get some updates on the state polls with our reporter Selvam Arjunan in Batu Kawan, Pulau Pinang. Selvam, what can we expect for Pulau Pinang leading up to the polls on August 12th?
Thank you, Mohammed. Until last week, the political temperament in Pulau Pinang was rather subdued and underwhelming. But right after the candidate list dropped in for both ruling Pakatan Harapan, Barisan Nasional and Perikatan Nasional this week, it has been a rollercoaster ride for both sides. In PH, DAP was given lion's share of 19 out of 40 seats. PKR was allocated 13 seats and Amanah 2 seats. Meanwhile, their new partner, Barisan Nasional, in 6 seats. On paper, incumbent PH was portrayed as strong, stable and solid. The main factor was DAP, as the core party in PH was in unshakable position. Few big names were dropped, such as Deputy Chief Minister Professor Dr. P. Ramasamy, State Exco member Chong Eng, and few others on the name of party rejuvenation. Meanwhile, former Chief Minister and National DAP Chairman Lim Guan Eng was retained. Gerakan President Datuk Dr. Dominic Lau's proposed candidacy in Malay majority Bayan Lepas seat received a huge backlash from local PAS leaders. It prompted an unsavory incident on PN candidate's announcement event on Wednesday, whereas the candidate's name for Bayan Lepas seat was left unannounced while Dominic was still seated on the stage. Dominic had to wait until the next day for his candidacy to be confirmed by the Secretary General of PN, Datuk Sri Hamzah Zainuddin. This clash has prompted talks of internal sabotage within PN, where it could hurt the coalition's chances in Chinese majority and mixed seats. Beside both coalitions, Muda is contesting in 3 seats after announced it going solo, where Price seat will be an interesting watch with an Indian candidate and former local DAP leader contesting as independents. Meanwhile, on security side, State Police Chief Datuk Ko Kochin informed that more than 5,500 police personnel will be on duty throughout 2 weeks campaign period to ensure smooth sailing for political parties and the people. He also warned all concerned parties to avoid playing up 3R issues and keep the condition calm and cordial. And that's all from Pulau Pinang on the eve of nomination day. Back to Sri Pentas, Mohammed.
A British Formula E driver, Jake Hughes, on Friday smashed a world indoor speed record by hitting 218.71 kilometers per hour inside London's Excel Centre in a modified version of the Electric Championship's Gen 3 race car. You've been with me, Mohammed, Hamdan, for the past half an hour. Thanks for tuning in and have a great weekend.